solving Nigeria's unending sports development challenge. Nigeria sports development suffered a major derailment between 2004 and 2006. And that situation sustains till now, unfortunately, until the train is put back on the track. No proper development may be able to take place. This sad state of affairs was created inadvertently by government, the Ministry of Sports in particular, in the process of trying to stop a rebel group in Nigerian football that wanted to perpetuate itself in office and halt government's seeming control of football leadership in the country. The product of that confrontation created a virus that has infected all other sports federations and even the architecture of sports administration in the country. In short, the struggle for control of the leadership of the Nigeria Football Association during the elections of 2004-2006 is the root cause of the ineffectiveness of essential interventions by the sports ministry since then to stimulate sports development. I don't want to go into the minute details of that event here, even though a brief summary will provide some background to my position. Listen, in 2004 to 2006, the Ministry of Sports was tied in knots. Its power was rendered impotent by Ibrahim Galadima, who was drawing power from the independence clause in the then constitution of the NFA to outlaw any external interference, including by the NFA's primary funder, the government, in its affairs as a means of reinstating himself as chairman. With FIFA's threat dangled over Nigeria's head, should the government dare to interfere, Galadima temporarily had his way, paralyzed the government, reinstalled himself, but drew government's anger in the process. That confrontation cost Nigeria a World Cup ticket and tied down Nigerian football from any major development for the next 2 years. No one fights government and wins. Galadima was not going to be an exception. And in order to regain some control, the sports ministry, under the guidance of the most powerful administrator in Nigeria's sports history at the time, Dr. Amos Adamu, planned and executed a coup d'etat. His people infiltrated the NFA, got some rebel members to force a revisit of the constitution of the association, introduced some new strategic political rules, and aided by Nigeria's loss of the World Cup qualification, successfully conducted new elections and removed Galadima. That story will be properly told one day by any one of Fani Amu, Amanze Uche-Bulam, Abba Yola, Sani Lulu, and so on, all principal actors in that government coup d'etat. Unfortunately, although government achieved its objective, it came with a high price. A massive amendment to the correct structures and constitution of the NFA. They amended the constitution to carry out that coup. And with that victory, government inadvertently created a new knot that even government itself till now has been unable to untie. That knot became cancerous, spreading to the entire sports apparatus, including the Nigeria Olympic Committee, that prides itself as fully independent of government. That's the product of applying a purely political peel to cure a technical problem in Nigerian sports. Since then, from election to election, in several sports associations now, the civil courts are being brought into the picture to untie the reluctant political knots, all without success. So returning to the proper order of sports administration since then has become impossible. The strategic illegality introduced by government to oust Galadima has become the norm. Its creator, the federal government, through several ministers, has been grappling without success to understand why the ministry now finds itself difficult to align its vision with those of sports associations that have become recalcitrant and seemingly untouchable. With the exit of several old staff in the ministry from service, the situation gets worse with time. The people who are there don't even understand it. Elections into the federation boards have become convoluted, complicated, expensive, involve political campaigns, even rallies, and movement of election venues on the basis of political strength of those contending. State government funding of particular interest groups, etc., have become the norm. Wrong has now become right, with unending crisis as the result. Sports are the worse for it. A body of experts set up under the guidance of Amos Adamu tampered with and rewrote the constitution for the Nigeria Football Association in order to achieve the number of delegates that can vote and oust Galadima. The body took a political route instead of using, the political route of using state sports associations to carry out this hatchet job. Meanwhile, the state sports associations, in that case, the state football associations, were actually non-registered but administrative bodies created by the states using the National Federation guidelines to conduct football activities at state level. At best, they attended the annual General Assembly meetings of the Nigeria Football Association, along with other affiliated members, stakeholders, and even the invited public. As a group of state football associations, they had only one vote in the election of the chairman of the NFA, like every other member. In 2006, the state football associations were suddenly empowered to the status of full, independent, individual membership of the National Association without any justification other than the optics of being like an arm of the National Federation. This move made each of the state associations a full member of the NFA, a member of the General Assembly, and a member of the electoral body. Think of it this way. It's like each state coaches association, to become a full member of the NFA, we will have 37 coaches members, or the state association of the referees. You have 37 of them also. So with their new number in the membership of the National Association, that increased from 1 to 37, or 2 at a time to 74. Ordinary administrative affiliates without any business at the national level became full individual members of the National Federation. They now determined who became the chairman. They took over the reign of governance and sports development. They used their numbers to vote out Galadima and terminated his ambition as well as his regime. That's how administrative affiliate bodies became full individual members of the NFA. That's the crux of the matter. Meanwhile, the whole process of making state football associations to become full members was wrong and illegal. The activities of state football associations do not go beyond the states. Expanding their status, place, and roles as direct members of the national federations continues to be the Achilles heel of sports development in Nigeria. It was a grave mistake in the story of sports administration in the country. Simply put, every national sports association is made up of the following full and independent members existing or when they eventually exist. One representative of each of the leagues being played. One representative of the national body of coaches. One representative of the national body of referees. One representative of the national body of schools. One representative of NAFA. One representative of the national body of football academies when they become registered. Other admissible stakeholders and affiliates are a representative of the Ministry of Sports, a representative of the national body of players, a representative of the national body of state sports associations, who was called then the chairman of chairmen, just one, and one representative of any other stakeholder registered by the Federation or recognized by it. It is these representatives, all elected by their different constituencies, that shall form the board of the national sports federations and shall from amongst themselves elect a chairman or president without the shenanigans of political manipulations and brazen illegality. The process of electing a chairman or president will become equitable, inexpensive, without any form of political manipulation. The Constitution must therefore once again be amended to restore that order and legality, removing what obviously was constructed to serve a special purpose in 2004 in Port Harcourt. It served that purpose and must now be discarded. The ministry must be strategic in approaching this subject matter. Without addressing and solving it, the minister's dream of advancing the cause of sports will be hinged not on his plans, but on the whims of state sports association chairmen that control the levers of power outside the proper national federations with which his ministry interacts. My postulation, of course, requires interrogation and careful examination by the minister for verification of the claims that I make. The minister should set up a committee to do so immediately, with some time still available before the next elections into boards. This way, he will avoid the endless cycle of conflicts, the going to court, and restore justice, equity, and order to sports administration and development in Nigeria. I know I am stirring the hornet's nest by this piece I have written today, but truth must be told, even if nothing is eventually done. I know it is complicated, hard to follow even as I read it, but look beneath everything that I've read, and therein lies the truth, that the state sports associations, as full members of the national sports federations, is wrong.